It's AGTV. I'm with my guy Ruslan. Man, I don't even know what to call you. An artist, entrepreneur. What else? Father.
All that.
Co-founder of Prayway. Don't forget. Let's not forget about that. Is Tekashi the second artist next to Tupac to be with a number one album while in prison?
Those of you guys that don't know, aren't familiar with me, that's okay. My name is Ruslan, hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur. I run a boutique label called King's Dream Entertainment, and I'm a huge fan of AGTV. I think he's doing an amazing job of just releasing really cool content, and me and him have a huge affinity for all things Tupac, all things 90s West Coast gangster rap, and so yeah, man. So
all things Prayway, let's not forget.
He keeps bringing up this Prayway thing. I have no idea what he's talking about, but that would be hilarious if that became a thing in Christian hip hop. Let's see, I'm gonna look it up. Tekashi, first week projections. Tekashi69. He's gonna be number one and number two for sure. Yeah, so they're projecting, according to Complex, they're projecting 60 to 65,000 album equivalents. That's awesome.
I'm really. It's not even possible to see what he would have done if that album wouldn't have leaked. That would have been very interesting.
I mean, bro, 60 to 65,000 is still amazing. Like Tekashi69 moving these types of numbers is great, because you got to remember, Tekashi's not selling a gang of physical units out here. He's not selling a bunch of downloads. Like, these are more streams, you know. So if you go back and look at like Post Malone first week sales of his album, and there wasn't that much. Like that first one that really popped off for him, it was more streams. He was killing it on a streaming, but his sales weren't really that high because he's more of a streaming artist. You know what I'm saying? So these are, I think, great numbers.
Okay, but I gotta ask you, to be number one, I think is different from what it is now than from the 90s. In the 90s, there weren't streams, there weren't really social media like that. There was no iTunes, there was no digital nothing.
Right. Yep.
So back then, I believe for you to be the number one in the whole country was to have your album number one on Billboard. If I'm
on Billboard, yeah. Yeah,
Billboard,
correct,
right?
And that was primarily physical sales of CDs, probably some tapes. If we're talking that Tupac Me Against the World album, I think vinyl was pretty dead at that time. Like in the 90s, I think vinyl took a big hit. But yeah, so you're definitely talking about a harder way to sell music. People had to go to the stores. Like, I remember being a kid going to the store, buying physical CDs, opening them up. Now it's so much easier to consume music, and there's so many more people consuming hip hop, and hip hop is now the biggest genre. So I do think it's kind of a different playing field, because I think Tupac was going up against like Bruce Springsteen that week, and heavy like legacy artists.
And he beat him.
For him to have that number one album for Me Against the World while he was in prison, that was a big deal.
What defines number one today is what I'm curious. Is it all that? Is it Billboard? Is it number one on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify? Like, what do you think, in your opinion, makes you number one?
I think we're still talking Billboard. Like, if we're talking about number one album in the country, like, you're going up against everybody. So who has albums out right now? Travis Scott. I'm sure Post Malone is still on the charts. So yeah, we're talking everybody. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if Kevin Gates. I think Kevin Gates put out an album while he was in prison.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up the Billboard right now.
Yeah, they're saying he's gonna be number one or number two. That's what they're saying, which is really crazy, man. And this entire thing, like, I think they kind of spoke so much of stuff into existence. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like calling themselves, the new Death Row, and all the controversy. And then there's just so many similarities that I bet you they weren't even trying to do these things. That now, he's gonna have the number one album while in prison. Tupac had the number one album in prison. The entire thing folded because of federal charges and people going to jail. That's what happened to Death Row. Everything fell apart while Suge was in prison. And there's a lot of parallels there that I think I almost wish it was just trolling. Like, I wish this wasn't real, because it's really sad that it all kind of escalated to the place where it's at now, and they were trying to kill him. You know, one minute they're his management, they're his team, they're the people rolling with him, his security. Next minute they're putting out hits on him. It's really, really like they need to put out a Tekashi69 movie. Like, I don't know how long that's gonna take, but when they do that biopic on him, I mean, I guess we gotta wait, you know, and see how this whole thing plays out. But that's gonna be a crazy movie because this is literally some movie stuff. You know what I mean? Like stuff we ain't even seen in movies like that. Like the type of stuff he was doing, type of stuff he was getting away with, or he thought he was getting away with, and then how hard it's coming down on him now. It's crazy, bro.
Look at the charts now. It says number 1 is Delta from Mumford and Sons, whoever that is. And did you know
that's who's number 1 right now on the charts?
Yeah, Billboard 200. I'm looking at.
Yeah, but this is last week's charts. This is whoever came out last week.
It says the week of December 1st. Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay. Last week.
Yeah, because how it counts is whatever came. Like, I think we'll know the charts as of, I believe it's like is it Friday to Saturday? Yeah, I think it's Friday to Saturday, and then they release the charts. Because they still got, because there's SoundScan, there's digital, there's streaming. Yes, you got Mumford and Sons. I see. We're looking at the same charts. Mariah Carey's on the charts.
I can't believe Trippie Redd is on the charts. That's crazy. I don't like to listen to him. But.
I mean, Trippie Redd's a huge streaming artist, bro. So you got Drake is still on the charts. Scorpion.
I'm not surprised. He could put out a blank CD and it'll sell.
Yeah, wow. Anderson .Paak's on his mug. Anderson .Paak's number 11. That's crazy.
How is Lil Wayne has to be the most overrated artist? I swear.
I mean, he has that legacy brand that I think isn't gonna go away anytime soon. I think he repositioned himself as an underdog, and I think that definitely catapulted him. A lot of these guys, if you think about the charts right now, it's minus Drake, it's a lot of kind of like underdog type of rappers. Like Travis Scott isn't like a mainline rapper. Trippie Redd is definitely kind of like an outlaw figure. Anderson .Paak, you know what I mean? He's Anderson .Paak. He's so different. Metro Boomin, Lil Baby and Gunna, Post Malone. Like, these are not like quintessential pop stars. Like, you don't got a bunch of Drakes and Kendricks and like media darlings that are that are on the charts right now, which is really interesting.
Damn, it's too early to say then, right?
Yeah, it's too early to say. I think we'll know in a couple of days. So Lil Baby and Tekashi was supposed to drop the same day, but it looks like he's gonna outsell Lil Baby. But then they pushed that record out, which I don't know what that means in terms of the charting. But yeah, I mean, dude, if he becomes the first artist to have a #1 album, yeah, because it doesn't look like there was anybody else who had a #1 album while in prison. It's just, again, it's like, be careful what you wish for. They wish to be the new Death Row, and obviously that Me Against the World album didn't come out on Death Row, but it was right before he signed.
But we all know how Death Row, worked out.
Yeah, it all panned out in a very sad way, and I think we might see the same thing. And the thing about Death Row that made Death Row different is, one, the music was exceptional. I think Tekashi was just starting to catch his groove in terms of the music getting good, and not to say it was whack, but it just, like, he was starting to find his pocket, I feel like. And then 2, they had so much talent over there, that you can't even compare Treyway to Death Row in terms of talent. Like, they had Snoop, they had the Dog Pound, Lady of Rage, Dr. Dre, Danny Boy. Like, they had such a killer lineup. MC Hammer was there at one point, you can't, in that regard, you can't, there's no comparison. But they definitely they definitely caused a lot of noise in a very short amount of time in terms of Treyway, and I think we'll have to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, man, this is crazy. Did you listen to the album? Officially listened to?
I did. I listened to the album. I'm trying to think if I made it all the way through. I thought it was good, honestly. Like, I listened to it. I thought his the thing that's unique about him is, I think his people are like, oh, he's a one-trick pony. Like, he's not a one-trick pony. Like, he does the yell thing really well, but then, like, the song with Nicki, he does like this melodic auto-tune flow, and he does some interesting stuff with his voice that I think are like, is pretty dope. I really like the arrangements on some of the songs in terms of the way that the beat would cut out and the beat would cut out, the way the drums would hit along, you know, like he had the bum 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 and the drums would hit. It was like something dope. And I liked the record with Kanye. I thought he had some jams. The joint with Tory Lanez was crazy.
Yeah.
The joint with Lil Baby was crazy. He had some joints, bro. Like, I didn't really feel like the reggaeton joints too much like that because I couldn't understand.
Really? You can't understand that?
But he has some jams. Like, he has some jams, man.
Suck my fucking dick, stupid.
Did you catch all the times where he was about to yell Treyway? And it was like, no,
man, yeah.
I can't say that anymore.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was freaking funny, yo. That was funny. But yeah, I think Tekashi had a lot of potential. I mean, he still. I don't want to act like it's a rap for the dude. We don't know if it's a rap. He could beat these cases. He could keep it moving. He could defy the odds, or he could go away for a couple years and come back. You know, like I think Bobby Shmurda is gonna come back and still have a career. Like I do believe that. You know, will he be able to make more records? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's gonna continue making hit records. I think Bobby got lucky for as big as that record got. I think Tekashi, if he goes away for five to 10 years, I think he can come back and potentially still have a career, especially if he doesn't cooperate. Like, it's like he has to count whether or not cooperating and having a career in the short term, but potentially always being labeled as a snitch and all this kind of stuff is worth it, or not cooperating, and then in the long term, 10 years later, 5 years later, 7 years later, having a career, but now you didn't snitch, you stood up, you know, you did your thing. I think that's going to be the interesting in terms of how this thing plays out. You just got that on echo.
Yeah, man. You know I gotta be with my sound effects here and there.
Are you a fan? Like, did you like the record?
Oh hell yeah, man! This one was the one I was waiting for. Like the Day 69. I thought it was mediocre compared to this one. This one had my favorite songs. You know, I was waiting for the one with A Boogie.
Day 69 was trash, bro. They just threw that out there. Day 69 was not dope.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. I guess it was trying to build off of the singles he had.
I'm curious about this whole who put it out, because he signed to what's his name? The dude. What's that label? They renamed it. It was Strange Music or Strange Entertainment.
10K?
And Tech 9 sued them.
10K?
Say it again?
10K?
No, it wasn't 10K. It was the other guy.
Elliot Range?
Elliot Range. So he signed to Elliot Range, what's Elliot Range's label? Let's look that up. Elliot Range label. I think it's called 10 Productions or something like that.
10K Productions?
CEO.
Do you want to know before you say anything? Do you want to know what label Dummy Boy came out on?
Yeah, Dummy Boy. Oh, I'm looking at it. Scum
Gang Records. Yeah, and I just got an interview with dude too.
Right, and isn't Scum Gang? Didn't they have beef like that?
Yeah,
is so confusing.
Exactly.
So is he trolling them?
No. He actually put it on his label. They worked it out, and now it's coming out on his label. I just interviewed him about it too.
No. It says, okay, so Lil Wayne had a #1 album behind bars. So 6ix9ine would be the third artist to have a #1 album.
Listen, Lil Wayne's terrible. He doesn't count. Did he? It was a #1 in the country. No, we're talking about #1 in the country. It sold a million.
Lil Wayne was hot, bro.
His albums are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that it is what it is, you know?
Right. But supposedly Baby bought like 1 million copies by himself, or 500,000. That's
bro, so Day 69 cleared 55,000 equivalent album sales. That mixtape cleared 55,000. That's crazy. So if he does, so I guess Travis Scott is projected to make another 60 to 65,000, but he could do it. They're projecting the same amount for him, so it's between him and Travis Scott, I think.
Wow.
And he's at a disadvantage because he only has 3 tracking days. Again, he dropped it on a Monday instead of a Friday. I don't know if it's gonna happen, man. The way these numbers are looking, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know if he's gonna get the number 1.
So he will be the third person.
He'll be the third person.
Ah, Lil Wayne. Why? 6ix9ine is better than Lil Wayne,
man. all these brothers caught charges in New York too, which is really fascinating. Lil Wayne had his gun charge in New York. Tupac obviously had the case in New York, and Tekashi69 in New York. That's crazy.
New York, you already know, hip hop police does not play. They don't want to see that violence, bro.
Yo, that's crazy when you think about it. All these brothers was locked up in New York with #1 albums. Like, they didn't have the hip hop police back in the 90s, did they? That wasn't a.
It was created in the midst of that whole thing, yeah.
Ah,
it was. So.
Word, man. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.